Boing, 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 boing. Oh, hello, who are you? You don't know? You haven't got a name? Okay. Do you know what kind of animal you are? What are you, a bunny? Yeah, you are a bunny. Welcome back to the increasingly messy desk here at Kooky Towers. Yeah, what can I say? It's been a very busy month. But Easter is coming, and so Easter means bunnies. Let's see if I can take you up a little. So this is my little sock bunny, and I thought you guys might like to see how I made him. He's quite easy. He's really very easy. He's easier than the monkey, so you can run up, like bunnies, you can multiply many times. Well, this bunny you'll want to make a few times as well, I would imagine. So here he is in all his glory. He's got little additions, as you knew he might do, because I made him. But he's only made out of one sock. Yeah, literally, just one sock. So I've got a spare sock here. So let's show you how we made him. So you're going to need a sock. You're going to need some thread. You're going to need a thickish needle because of this thread is quite thick. So let me go into my little case. I think I was using that one. Yes, go with that one. When you decide what you want to add on to your bunny, you might need a few other things. So I have given him some little half button eyes. You could give him safety eyes. You could even go safer than that and do some stitch on felt eyes. It really is up to you. He's got some little cheeks, wiggle cheeks there. He's got some whiskers and obviously a little embroidered nose. Other additions, I put some front paws on for him because, well, what's a bunny without his paws? And a little patch on the top of his head there so that I could embroider into it. Now you could embroider into a lot more of this if you wanted to. You know, it really is up to you. Not forgetting, and last but not least, the very big fluffy pom-pom tail in a matching yarn. So if you want to make a tail, you don't have to. You could have a tailless bunny, but if you want to give him a tail, then I've just got some double knitting yarn in a matching colour. So let's make a start. You'll also need scissors. Try and grab that now. First thing you need to do, when your sock arrives, it's usually this kind of a shape. So what we need to do, first of all, is to turn it inside out. So grab the toe, pull it through. Right, when we have it inside out, what we need to do is to figure out where his face is going to be. So if I do it that way around again, you can kind of see the shape of the bunny face there. So that's where his nose is going to be, and this is going to be his ears. So flattening out the toe end. You can generally, if it's a pattern sock, you can see a line going down the middle. That's very handy because that's going to give us some clue as to where to cut. But before we do the cutting, we're going to do some sewing. So in these ones, I don't use the toe for the top bit unless you want extra long ears. So I tend to leave that bit out, but I'm flattening this out now. And what we need to do, we need to leave some room. If you see though, I've left some room for his face. That's the toe, that's the heel of the sock. And I need to leave a gap there, and then you've got some ear ridge going on. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my sewing here. Now, if I could show you, not sure this is going to work. You need to have a bit of gappage in between the ears, otherwise you're going to have very thick ears that stand together. And I'm going to sew up here, and I'm going to sew around there, just to that point there. And then I'm going to take it up similar distance and round there. I don't know if you can see that line. It's a little white line, and I've got a gap there of about 2 centimeters, I would say. Would you say 2 centimeters? Let's get our ruler out and measure it. Yeah, so about 2 centimeters in between the ears. You're going to have a little patch that goes along. So if I show you the bunny that's made, there is his 2 centimeter part. Right, so I've left enough for his face. I've got enough for his ears. And what we need to do now is load up a needle and just start sewing. I'm using these pearl cotton threads because I have them to hand. This one is kind of like the colour of the sock base on the end there, so I'm going to use that one. This one I will use maybe as well. Anything that goes with your sock, basically. So I'm going to thread this up and I'll be back. Okay, and we'll thread it up. It is a very dark, dingy day here at Kooky Towers. So I'm going to start on one side of the sock where the edge of it is, and I'm just going to back stitch all the way around the ear. Now, if you have a sewing machine, you might want to do this on your sewing machine. I tend not to, and the reason being is I quite like hand sewing. Strangely enough, I do like the hand sewing, and I find it quite relaxing, apart from when the needle comes off the thread, like it just did. So we shall rethread and continue. I've got ink all over my fingers because I've been messing around with my fountain pens. Yeah, that's another story altogether. So, continuing in the back stitch around here, around ear. I know my line is not very visible to you probably, but it is to me, so make sure that you can see. If you've drawn on a line, make sure you can see it. It's easier on a lighter coloured sock. But you know I like my very colourful colourful socks. You could do this with a white bunny if you wanted to. If you've got a white sock, you could make yourself a white bunny. And add in some extra details with your felt, so you could sew him on some spots or whatever. Or patches. No, bunnies have patches on them. You could do it in a brown if you wanted to, brown sock. Just don't go stealing brown socks that people are wearing. These are all brand new socks. Okay, so I've got to the bottom there where I haven't got to the bottom there. Why am I going that far out? Silly me. Got to try and find my thread now. Back in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. I've not got down to my mark yet. So continuing down. And this is something, if you wanted to, you could do with other members of your family. And if they are older children in your family or teenagers who want to make their own sock bunny, this is something that they could do. I did this with a group of kids in craft club when I used to work in a school. And they all did really well with this. We had some not bunnies. Some unbunnies, should I say, ended up more of a monster kind of thing, but I wasn't still impressed with those as well. You know I like my monsters. So I stitched all the way down to that ear, so I've gone round there, down there, and now I'm going to go across on this bit here. Still doing my back stitch. It would have been helpful if I'd have done it in a lighter colour so you could see, wouldn't it? That would have been a much more sensible idea, but I think you get the gist. So I've gone across my 2 centimetre gap, and now I'm going back up the other side of the other ear. And my back stitch is getting bigger as I'm going along. I just control that a little bit. Oh dear. So hopefully there will be enough gappage for his face to be embroidered upon. Yeah, we're going up the right way. I might just have enough thread. You know when you realise you're running out of thread and you start to race to get to the end to see if it's going to work? Well, that's where I'm at the minute. So just go a little bit faster. Not that it makes any difference in the slightest, because if I'm going to run out of thread, I'm going to run out of thread. That's the way it goes. So if you wanted to carry on at the toe end, you can do. If you want really long ears for your bunny, I quite like short-eared ones. I mean, if you wanted to do a hair, perhaps carry on. And he'd have a nice little coloured tip on the end of his ears. Come on, let's make it to the end without having to rethread. Ooh, we might just do it. Okay, I'm going to fasten mine off here and then I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so now I am going to cut. So I'm going to cut around my stitching, leaving about 1/4 inch gap. And do not cut through your stitches, she said, from experience. Coming up and around. And around. There we go. Actually, I'll keep that bit because these little bits come in handy for something if you're making sock creatures. So they always come in handy for something, so I'm going to keep that one. Okay, so now you stick your hand inside, you put your fingers down the ears and you pull it through. You do the hokey cokey and you turn around. Well, you don't have to if you don't want to. Somewhere I have a proddy thing, but the proddy thing has run away, so I'm going to use a paintbrush. Anything that's available. Okay, come on here. Come on here. I'm just going to wind it up. It's easier that way. Paintbrush is slippy. My proddy thing is not. Slippiness doesn't help when turning things out the right way. Stick my finger in it. There we go. So if we look at him now, he's getting to look more of a bunny look about him. So now comes the stuffing part. You will need some polyester stuffing, toy filling, whatever you've got. Don't use cotton wool. Cotton wool just bunches up and you will not be happy with it, I promise you. Cotton wool is not the option. Old clothing, not really the option either, because it just leaves bunchy bits. If you haven't got any polyester stuffing, you've got an old cushion, maybe raid the old cushion for some stuffing. That's one thing you could do. So we've got the bare bones of our bunny coming along quite nicely. If you want to put safety eyes in, you're going to have to put them in now, which is kind of unfortunate because you've got to judge where the eyes are going to go now. This is why I did the buttons. Also, I would think probably the best thing to do is to put the felt eyes on when you are when you finish stuffing him. That might be an easier way to do it. Sorry there, I just got distracted by an errant person asking about trousers. Okay, so we are going to do the stuffage. So what I've got is a huge bag, sorry for the rattling sound, huge bag of polyester stuffing. So the first thing you want to do is to get yourself a chopstick. I have got a stuffing tool, but chopstick's handy at the minute. And you want to, actually the best thing to do is to get into the ears first, which you have got to stuff the furthest away part first. You can see it's just shedding everywhere. Really soft. Is to just turn your sock a bit so that you've got access to the ear. Very important, have access to the ear. And you want it to be not too fat, is what I will say, on the ears. Reason being is these socks will stretch to as much as you want. You don't want him to have great big huge, well, maybe you do. I suggest just stuffing to a point where it's kind of just a bit squishy and it's holding its shape, the ears. Sorry about the rattling going on my desk at the minute. I tell you, it's all going on here. So I'll be able to say to you, friend, what did you do today? Oh, stuffing a rabbit. Let's say, what? Okay, let's get some more of this. It takes more than you think to stuff a rabbit. Okay, now be wary and mindful of the shape of your ears. I just keep giving them a squish just to keep the polyester filling from just balling up in one place. Okay, that's one ear. Almost done. And let's have a look. Yeah. Yeah, this one's going to have shorter ears. Doesn't really matter. This is short-eared brother. And getting to the point where I can use a chopstick just to push that down. You don't want to, as I say, it is a stretchy fabric, so you don't want to overstuff. Because not only does that make a weird shape out of what you're trying to do, but potentially, if you're using a dark sock, you could see the stuffing through, and that's not something that you want, especially. Right, he has ears, and now I'm going to continue on and stuff the rest of him. And you can see his face coming into shape now because the heel of the sock automatically makes the face shape, which is why these are cool for animals in general. With the monkeys, if you recall, we had to stitch onto the sock with the heel. So this is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to make a bunny than it is to make a monkey. Let's just say that. Getting the shape. He's coming to life. Yes, he is. And you just continue on with your stuffing until you have filled up the head area. And you want to put quite a bit in the nose area to stretch it out a bit, or in the heel, should I say. So carry on stuffing. Okay. All the bits I stitch on afterwards when it's been stuffed. The reason being is it's not an easy task to try and position things like cheeks and that bit and these paws until it's actually done. So these are all done as an afterwards, after the stitching the main body has been done. I'm going to try and keep that face shape, so stuffing into there. Okay, so I'm going to leave you now. Continue stuffing. Keep that face shape where the heel is and then start to pad it out. If you look at mine, I went slightly less on the stuffing around the neck area, and then when it got to his belly, I did more. So look at your shape, see how it's going, and stuff accordingly. Once he's got a nice firm shape to him, but not too like overstuffed, then you can sew around the bottom, but I'll do that with you when we come back. We tend to just sew around the bottom, and I just put a little bit of felt over there to cover up the hole. And then we'll be done and we can do the decorating of him. So you go away and stuff and come back and I will have stuffed and we'll go on to the next part. Okay, so my boy is all stuffed. What we need to do now is to just finish up this end. This is like the top of the sock, the cuff bit that goes around your leg. And all we need to do, because that's finished off, we just need to pull it together. So all you need to do that, grab yourself some thread, find your needle that you've lost. Seriously, I've lost my needle. Give me a second. Okay, needle located, all is well. So you can see I left his neck thinner. You just kind of squish it around to get it into shape. He's got a nice big booty. He's got a little bit of a belly going on, which is nice. So on the edge of your sock, you want to run a running stitch, which is just an in and out all the way around this bit. So let me pull you in. So I'm just running stitching it all around the edge. Oh, typical. Needles come unthreaded again. Come on, needle, play the game. Keep going all the way around. And my oats pot's gone for a Burton. All the way around the bunny. And you can go to town on him, really. You could give him a bow tie, you could make him a jumper, I don't know, anything. He's already wearing a sock, or he is a sock, should I say. I love sock creatures. I've made quite a few different ones in my time. One of the favourites being a sock giraffe. He was pretty cool. Right, so we pull it up as you would and tie it off. I'm going to leave that attached because what I am going to do is to put a little circle of felt on the bottom. So I'm grabbing out my pre-made circles, which have run away. Find one of a size. Oh, let's have this bright pink one. That'll do nicely. So we want to position that over. You can pin this if you like. I'm just going to wing it. And I'm just going to over sew this into place. Like so. This just covers up that hole. There's just a slight hole where the sock comes together. And this kind of finishes it up a little nicely. So you want to continue on finishing up the bottom end of your bunny, and I'll be back when you've done that and we'll go on to the next part. Okay, so now you should have your bunny all in shape. He's looking good. Just menangle his ears and his stuffing to how you like it. So the next thing we need to do is to, if you want to, you don't have to, this is additional. So you don't have to stitch him on some paws or cheeks or anything else. You could just give him a face and have done with it. So let's do his face first, and then if you just want to leave it at that, then that's your bunny finished. So I'm going to do his little nose, which is really simple. I've got some of this yarn. Yeah, I'll cut myself a length of that off. I might need a thicker darning needle for this one. Yeah, let's go with this one. So doing the thread of the needle is the most difficult part of this. I'll do it, I'll be back. So I've threaded my needle up with the yarn, and I'm just going to insert it from the side. I'm not going to put a knot in it. I'm just going to go in and come out. You can see the line of the sock heel there. I'm just going to come out just to one side of the centre of his face. Maybe a little bit less than that. Let's have a go there. About there. I'm going to pull it through, but I'm not going to pull it all the way through because that yarn is then lost inside your bunny, as long as you don't pull it too hard. Then I'm going to look at the other side and match it up. So we're matching there, but we're going to go about 2 centimetres apart maybe. I'm going to come down sideways. So you see that? I've gone in there and I'm coming down here like so. And what I'm going to do is make sure that that yarn is underneath and go like that. And you've got his nose. And then you come down and you give him a mouth. And you take it out to the side. And got a little bunny mouth. He's got a nose and a mouth. You can make it as long as you like. You can give him a smile if you want at the bottom. It really is up to you. I like smileless bunnies. My bunnies are just looking a bit shocked because they've had a lot done to them, basically. Snip off there, not too close so that you cut the sock, and just massage it around a bit until that thread gets lost in there. So that's his nose done. If you want to, for his eyes, you could just do little black circles of felt. You could even stick them on if you wanted to not sew them. Mine are buttons, and literally I've just threaded the button through and gone through to the other side, but stitching it on is probably the easiest one to do because you kind of pull in the shape of the nose there with the stitching. So whatever you fancy. So button eyes, felt eyes stitched on or stuck on, and then that would be you finished if that's all you wanted to do. I'm extra, so I gave mine a pom-pom tail, so you can just make yourself, out of the same colour yarn that you use for his nose, make yourself a pom-pom. Mine is rather large, it's a large pom-pom, and I used a pom-pom maker, which has now gone astray. So I can't show, I can. It was this one here, which is the 2.5 inch one. It's a clover one. Whichever means and method you make yours, you can make it out of cardboard as well. You can make your pom-pom maker out of cardboard. I know people who do that. But as I have got a pom-pom maker, I made myself a little pom-pom tail. Now, if you don't have any yarn or enough yarn, what you could do, remember that bit we took off for the toe? You could chop it. So I'm just going to chop these little end bits off here. So we've still got this toe part here. You could stuff it. So grab some of your stuffing. Could be not as much as that. You never know, but sometimes you do need more than that. So then run a running stitch around it and you've got a tail. You can just stitch that on, which is what I might do with this one instead of making a pom-pom, just to make him different, because they are different creatures. They're brothers, but you know, they like to have individuality. They've got a backstory, they just haven't got names yet. So yeah, so you could do that with him. The other bits that I added on here, I've got the paws and this little top patch here. Somewhere I have patterns for those. So that's his leg patch there, and I just cut that out of felt, then over sewed it on in position. Same there with that one. I'll make these available if anybody wants them. They're going to be available as a download, so I'll put that in the description box below. This is his head patch that goes there. It goes from kind of like the middle of the ear there and just comes down there. And what this enables you to do is to just stitch into it and give it some, you know, I don't know, just a little bit of added interest. Cheeks are just circles over sewn on in the same way. And there he is. That's him. I'm going to finish this one off later and maybe make a few more because I've got some more socks. I have more socks. So you could do it in whatever colours you like. It's such a fun thing to do, and it really is simple. It probably take you about a couple of hours tops to make one of these. So you could go crazy and make a whole burrow full of bunnies. I'll show you some of the other sock materials I've got here. So we've got this one, which is kind of like so this one would have a white nose and very colourful ears. And this is like a giraffe spotty kind of stuff, and so you'd have like a black nose. Yeah, so I'll find you looking at socks in different ways now in the shops, so you know how many you can get to make bunnies from. So, hope you've enjoyed this. This guy's enjoyed it because he's been showing off his natural talents as a bouncing bunny. And yeah, so give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. And if you would like to see more of this kind of content, then comment down in the box below. Send me a little message. Have you ever made any sock creatures? How did you find it? Do you think it's an easy thing to do? Have you made it with kids before? I have done that. I've made that with about 8 kids at a table. It was crazy, I have to tell you, but it was fun. Anyway, that's enough from me. I will see you very soon back here with something else. Bye for now. Bye.